All right, welcome back to the Midlife Muscle Podcast. I'm Joey Atlas, and today's great guest is Michael Johansson, correct?
Yes.
Good pronunciation. He goes by MJ, so you're going to hear me calling him MJ. And MJ, I want to thank you for
Thank you so much for having me.
thank you for having me. As you can see, we got no signage behind us because I'm actually in MJ's domain here. This is his gym location. This is where he operates his businesses out of. And we literally met maybe 3 or 4 hours ago for the first time.
Yes.
And he was so gracious enough to accept my invite to come on the podcast and host it here at his place while I'm on the road in Allen, Plano, Texas area for Living Strength Nutritionals. And here we are. So we're going to go through this really quickly. Michael's on a tight schedule, leaving for Sweden in a couple days, Tuesday, correct?
Yeah.
But we're going to go back to his early entry into the whole fitness realm, his personal story, and then how he got into the gym business and the 2 apparel line businesses that he runs. So we ready to go, MJ?
Yes.
All right.
Fire
So
off.
to stay on schedule here, let's go all the way back to your childhood. And where were you born?
So I was born in a little town, kind of like a village, 2.5 hours north of the main capital of Sweden, called Säter, and that's kind of like to me, it's a little bit like the Texas of Sweden.
Okay.
So it's a nice area, but at the same time, when you grow up there, it's in my case, it was very important to quickly look out and make your way to bigger cities and think bigger and
Sure.
and all that.
Understood.
All of that.
Understood. So
Yeah.
how did you end up in the States from Sweden?
Yeah, so like I said, I moved home from when I was like 16, and then quickly moved to the big city, and then
Here?
no, like in
Sweden.
in Sweden, and Stockholm, the main capital, was too little. So I want to kind of like rule the country,
Right.
and then after ruling the country, want to rule the Nordics, and then after ruling the Nordics, we want to rule Europe, and then what's like then of course US and is the window to the rest of the world when it comes to fitness. So of course I want to feel like not ruling, but feeling like I'm a global citizen,
Right.
and the world is our playground, and making sure that we. The whole story behind this is to kind of like place yourself in a bigger room before you even enter the room.
Right.
And that's kind of like my life story, that trying to make
Always
a little
stepping
bit.
things up.
Yeah, and exactly, and kind of like maybe it's a little bit uncomfortable to be in the next room before you're there,
Right.
And that's but that's kind of like been my story since I was very young and moved from home when I was 16.
Okay. So before we go on, I want to remind anybody, if you're listening on Apple, Google Podcast, Spotify, make sure you come to the video version of this so you can see us and all the previous guests and the next guest. All you got to do is go to YouTube and search MidlifeMusclePodcast.com. Let us know you're watching the episodes, post any questions in the comments or some love, and then we'll go from there. All right. So what took you personally into fitness training in your youth?
Yeah, so when you grow up in Sweden, it's like the standard is that you play ice hockey or you play soccer. So in my case, soccer was what I grew up with. And then as you get close to 14, 15, and you're getting more serious about school and the school choices, then I started lifting weights, and I quickly discovered that I like team sports, but at the same time I was intrigued about doing more of the bodybuilding journey, where you're kind of focusing on yourself and your own training more than being like team dependent, So and then also I had a need of being, I didn't want to conform in school, so I was not particularly good in school, conforming to society is kind of like it's not my
Understood.
my big thing. So I want to be free. And that's also why I kind of like moved on all the time from to not get stuck. And so that's been part of my philosophy to keep on moving and not getting stuck anywhere, you know.
Right. Understood. So I'm going to remind you, as you're tuning in, listening, take a quick second here. Stay tuned to the end, because MJ is going to, number one, ask me a question, and then he's going to share all the social handles and websites where you could check out the gym, you could check out the different apparel lines and a few other things. So stay tuned. So please continue.
That's, and kind of the whole bodybuilding and fitness journey for me gave me that opportunity to be unique and put my own mark on my own journey and my own history. So and I could decide over my time when to train, and that kind of like quickly evolved into training bodybuilding on an elite level. And you know, so
did you get into competitions?
Yes, competing on a national level, you know, in Sweden, but then so let's say I started bodybuilding seriously when I was like 16, 17. And I stopped when I was 27.
Okay.
So when I was 27, I felt like there was, you know, I had to make a choice between my business and the competing part.
Right.
And I decided that I could get the same out of the business as I got from the competing.
Yes.
So I was just expanding my vision of and not putting a label on myself that I'm like a bodybuilder. More than I'm following my philosophy and my core values, regardless if it's bodybuilding or if it's motocross or whatever it is, and it kind of encompasses my whole life, including my business.
Yes, understood.
So that's kind of I just made everything a little bit bigger in my mind, and then I could do bodybuilding, but not maybe in the way I was thinking, you know.
Right.
And I could experience the same stuff, but maybe not in the way I thought from the beginning.
Right.
So
what's your age?
I'm 56.
Okay, welcome to the club. So I just turned 54. I think as we get into midlife,
I'm already in the club.
You're in the club.
You're stepping in after me.
True. You realize that the goals we used to shoot for transition to different goals. And you know, they become more health focused, longevity focused, functionality focused.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you can put that also on the mental aspect about health and focus, you know.
Right.
And I feel like the sooner we can kind of like discover our passion, purpose, and things like that, and see a little bit of the bigger picture. The sooner we can do that, maybe the more successful we can be in life.
Right, on all aspects.
In all aspects. And success for me is the totality, not a measure on money or fame or something like that.
True,
you know?
True. Yeah, good philosophy. Good balance throughout all aspects of life.
Yeah, like, and I think also like my whole, when I'm working, we have around 300 professional athletes in our team with GASP and Better Bodies, and a lot of stuff that I feel, and we also have a community with 20,000 you know, people who are very serious about their training and their goals and stuff in different ways. My whole preaching is about explaining the bigger picture, you know, and how we can be successful in life and not get tunnel vision so easy.
I've seen some of your posts. I've been poking around in the Facebook community, trying to learn a little bit about you. Because if I did get the opportunity to do this, I wanted to at least have some kind of understanding of where you're coming from. And the more I heard, the more I said, I hope he can do it, because I really like the way he thinks. So how did you end up in the US? When did that happen?
Yeah, because it was, you know, like I said, you know, you're moving from one place to another all the time. And at the time we had a farm, like a hobby farm in Sweden, and 2011 we had that one, for 10, 11, 12 years, and it was time to do something new because I was traveling more than ever,
Right.
and my business was more international. And
What business was that?
the GASP Better Bodies.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So you started those in Sweden.
yeah, so we, Better Bodies, we started importing back in 89, 90, and then
Importing into the U.S.
Into Sweden.
Sweden.
Yeah, nothing with US until 2008.
Okay. So can we take a second, because I'm really curious about what's the story behind the two brands?
Yeah, that's what I'm.
There's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that we started out as a company who imported stuff to Sweden, and we sold it to friends and the community in Sweden and resellers in Sweden, gym owners,
Okay.
and then one of the brands that we were selling at the time was Better Bodies, and that went really good. And there was a Swiss guy that was doing Better Bodies in Europe back then and made it go big. But the founder of Better Bodies was actually in New York and Manhattan.
Okay.
And that's Brian Moss. So this European guy, he made the Better Bodies successful in Europe. It was one of the biggest exhibitor at FIBO back in the late 80s and the early 90s. And we became very successful with Better Bodies in the Nordic. But then over time, he expanded the assortment too quick, and it was going too quick, too fast. And in '92 it went bankrupt, and because they were expanding too much.
Right.
And by that time we were successful cherry picking the assortment for the Nordics. So we were so disappointed that it was shut down.
Right.
So we made a deal with a Swiss guy, and then we started producing on our own back in '94. So '94 we started producing Better Bodies for the Nordic market or the Swedish market, and then 6 years later it grew into more of a fitness brand, from being a little bit more hardcore,
Right.
and being for the bodybuilding industry, it became more and more general fitness.
Right. So did you purchase the IP from Better Bodies, basically logos?
Yes.
All those
Yes,
goods?
of course.
Okay.
In the beginning, we were working with a type of franchise deal, but then quickly we took over.
Right.
So
when it's more of a fitness type brand, not so much hardcore, and then how did that develop to where you now have the GASP brand as well?
So like I said, 94 to 2000, it went really quick in the Nordics. We had great success, and the whole fitness boom in general starting to take over in the Nordics, where more and more people in society went to the gym. So we were selling more and more general fitness clothing and adapting the products to the market.
Right.
And when that was happening, I felt like that we were, since I was traveling and seeing all the gym owners and all the people that I've been working with for the 6-7 years, I felt like we were not giving them what we used to give them. So we came up with GASP, and GASP became our emotional child.
Okay.
So because we were doing commercial fitness with Better Bodies, and it was like suit and tie, and we're working with sporting goods dealers and like Dick's Sporting Goods and that type of people.
So you had those distribution channels?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were kind of like the main thing for fitness in the Nordics. So we came up with, in order to stay true to what to our core, we came up with words like no compromises, no excuses, and be relentless, and not to do it with a wallet, like do it with passion and integrity for the love of the iron sport.
Right.
So those core value words and everything got instilled in GASP.
What does GASP stand for?
That's a secret that is in that safe that you see
Really?
behind you, and so I can't really tell you.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Yeah, and to develop on that answer a little bit quickly is that everybody got their own little version of what is empowerment, what is no excuses, what is GASP.
Right.
You know, so if I would tell you exactly what everything is, it's kind of like writing you on the nose. And that's not what GASP is about. GASP is about, you know, your inner feeling of no excuses and you know, empowering yourself and taking
it's your own unique version of that.
Yeah,
of
exactly. Just like when you read a book or something, it's kind of like your book that you're reading, even if there is a story in there. So you interpret your own way, you know.
Right. So you start GASP with that reasoning in mind.
Yeah.
And
so that was back in 2002. So
and you kept Better Bodies going.
Yeah,
obviously.
and we kept Better Bodies going as the commercial child, you know, where we're doing commercial business, and then the strategy to have one brand to the left and then one brand to the right.
Okay.
You know.
So one is more direct to customer, the other's more.
No, like they're just two different profiles. Better Bodies was commercial, and the GASP was emotional, and GASP was a little bit back to the core of the industry. So of course it could be like gym owners and the people who like bodybuilding and all of that stuff. And then Better Bodies was you know, having huge success in the sporting goods industry.
Right, more of a general market.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we also know that the sporting goods industry goes up and it goes down.
It's cyclical,
and goes,
sure.
Yeah, exactly. So that is exactly what happened with Better Bodies. It went up, and then 2008 it went down, you know.
Right.
And then GASP was a little bit more, not as sexy as Better Bodies.
It's more stable.
When it was going good.
It's more the people that are in this for life.
Yeah, they're in it for life. They're invested.
No matter what is going on in the economy, the world, whatever.
Exactly. So of course we could feel that 2008 when the global crisis came, Better Bodies was kind of like diving, and GASP was still, you know, making progress.
Right. Right.
And then we worked ourselves through 2008, 9, 10, and then starting to have huge success from 10 to 16, you know. And
as the markets recovered.
Yeah, exactly. And 2008 we started to do business with US. 2010 started a business in the US. 2012 I moved here. So we were going. We had great success with business to business, and GASP and Better Bodies was thriving.
All B2B for the US?
Yeah, you can say so.
Right.
That was the focus I came with. And then we had great success in that. And this is also like a message to anyone who listens to not get, you know, believe the hype, you know. Don't think that you got everything figured out, because it's an endless story of figuring stuff out, you know. So our issue was that we were peaking too late in an old model where distribution business was fading out and Instagram was taking over and social media taking over. But we were so busy in the business to business that we didn't see that coming. We had our formula, we know what to do, and we thought we had it figured out. So 2017, I found myself here in the US, you know, with no reason to exist. Like nobody would ask, you know, where is Michael, where's MJ, if I would to disappear, you know, because you know, like what we were doing with our whole setup didn't make sense anymore, you know, and you know, as it was growing into a corporation, you know, and the foundation where we started with the grassroots and we started with, you know, friends and family.
Right. More personal.
Yeah, more personal. That personal part were more distant in the past, and replaced by a structure, a company structure, replaced by, you know, hierarchy. Right. You know, and
it lost the personal side.
And recruit on competence.
Right.
And So 2017, I told my wife that, this doesn't, work. We either need to move home to Sweden, or I need to figure something out,
And that you were here in Dallas at the time?
Yeah.
This is where you came?
Yeah.
Settled?
So yeah, there was 5 years into the whole thing. And then my wife said that we don't move, so you better figure it out. And I'm like, okay. So I had to think twice about this, and then moved, jumped down from my big, go down from a big horse.
Right.
Because if I move back to Europe, I could still sit on a big horse and kind of like do a little bit the same stuff and have a little bit. But here I was like a nobody, So I have to climb down from a big horse, and I had to be the horse. And it was a pivotal moment where you have to figure stuff out without having any tools. And the whole thing here for someone who's listening is also that the machine, the whole thing of turnover and amount of products, the amount of employees was pretty big. At the same time as you need to figure out something new to feed the machine with.
Right.
That was very hard, because what's feeding you is not longer valid at the same time, and then you kind of like you have you want to live up to that,
right,
at the same time as you have new stuff that is more important that you need to focus on. So the biggest obstacle to make the transition was internal. Because people
internal for you?
No, internal for the company.
Okay.
Because everybody was busy with all this turnover in the old model, and I was asking them to work in the new model. But why should you work in the new model when all the money is coming from the old model?
Right. So in a summary style, how would you define the old model you were going from to the new model that you envisioned everybody moving over to?
Yeah, so the old model was distribution and working with resellers, and not to have first-hand connection with the community like we had in the beginning,
right,
when we were smaller. So now my thought process was to go back to the roots, go back to friends and family, go back to doing what we did when we were growing the first time in Sweden, kind of like starting all over from scratch, but in the US.
Right.
And so that was the big thing about starting all over, and starting to work with with community. And
when you say community, you mean like members, customers, gym goers?
Yeah, exactly. Trying to see like who's your friends again.
Right.
And then when you work with your friends, you can't call them customers.
Right.
So we changed our name on our customer support system. Instead, it's called friend support.
Nice.
And instead of looking at the customer list, it says a friend list.
Yeah.
And so from the very thought process all the way out in the world, we had to change the mindset from being like a company and driven by kind of like turnover and money,
right,
to be driven by
relationships.
Emotional value,
right,
relationships. And the reason why we could do this and do it in this way was because we never really left it with GASP. GASP was always the emotional child.
Right. You just had to put more focus in that approach.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you did that, how long did it take for you and your wife to start seeing, hey, this is starting to work?
I would say it took like 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. Because there was a lot of stuff to turn around.
So by 2020, you were starting to see it.
No, like say 17, by 2020. Yeah, maybe that's what you said. So by 2020, we were starting to see the light in the tunnel.
Right.
And that came also in conjunction with the whole Corona happening,
right,
where a lot of people were kind of like changing their life, So it's kind of like was a good life-changing moment for the company also, right, where it was easier to say like, okay, guys, look at this direction.
Right.
This direction that we've been doing with GASP all the time is actually the right direction.
Yeah.
Because before that, before 17, Better Bodies was huge and GASP was smaller, you know. Today it's opposite.
Okay.
Today GASP is big, you know,
Right.
and Better Bodies is smaller. But because Better Bodies, we have some catching up to do to bring that in the same wheelhouse as GASP.
Right.
So
is it a heavy? Did the emphasis on leveraging community, relationship building, communication, was that leveraged by a lot of the online tools we have access to now?
Yes, yes, of course. But you know, 17 when all this started, we didn't have any tools. You know, we didn't have any, you know, built up systems.
So you weren't using any of that.
Yeah, exactly. So you have, you know, we're using some of it, but in relationship to the size of the company, it was too little.
Right.
So you have to take it handshake by handshake and be very, you know, kind of like analog in your way of doing it.
Right.
And that was good because that made you start from scratch for real.
Right.
And not to go into social media the wrong way.
Right.
You know, where you kind of like buying, you know, likes, or buying, like, you know, focusing too much on funnels and selling, and it's kind of like just the same corporate thing, but in the social media world.
Yeah, that's how I ended up here when I was, you know, planning my trip to come here and do all the things I need to get done. You know, one of the things I wanted to do was find a place to train nearby, right? And so I looked at a bunch of places, and you know, I found all the things you guys were putting out, and I knew, I'm like, I'm probably going to end up training here. So, you know, I didn't react too soon. I consumed more content, you know, kind of did some different searches, listened to some of your videos, watched some of the team's videos. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be it, obviously. And I could see all the things you're talking about coming through in the content you guys put out there. And so, it ended up, I'm literally just staying 2 miles from here. So it worked out great.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, it's a good area of Dallas-Fort Worth here. In this northeast corner of Dallas.
Yes. So I met Emily. I just came in yesterday and joined up. Met Emily, one of the Nicks. I met the other Nick today. There was another gentleman. Everybody's great. Like super welcoming. It's perfect. Really enjoyed the training, the vibe, the atmosphere, and you know, of course, I'm in full receptive mode just by my own nature, and then the work I do. You know, I can see you got your.
We got some fulfillment going on.
You got fulfillment that goes on here. This is, you got. So is this headquarters back here where all the desks are?
Yeah, I usually say that the headquarters is where I am.
Right.
You know.
Understood.
So we can kind of like be on the same page, all of us.
Right.
So because we have you know, we have people all around the world.
Right.
So so we're trying to, you know, work as one team regardless of where we are.
Right.
And of course, destination Dallas, Texas, is our main hub for what we're doing, and it's also a big. Like you can find our core values in what we're doing here. So as an example, so I tell everybody I'm not the gym owner. So they come here and ask for the gym owner. So I'm not the one because I don't want to be a gym owner.
Understood.
I want people who are here, people like yourself, to own the gym.
Right.
And I'm not here because I'm not easy to comply myself, you know, like we talked about. So I don't expect people. I expect people to be themselves when they're here. I don't want to have signs up that says rack your weights.
Right.
You don't find any signs in the whole gym.
True. I noticed
anything.
that.
Yeah. And that's because I want the members and everybody who's here to take responsibility over the place like it's yours.
Yeah, that's great.
And I don't want to have any gym owner headache.
Understood. That's great.
So, and it's also like it's part of our giving. So we give a lot. We only charge as much as we need to just make everything go around. And we use everything we have to to give to the members, to the guests who's coming in.
Right.
And we have a lot of open what you say, like, you know, give back days or open houses or barbecues or, you know, whatever it is. We
Right.
have every third Saturday.
Yeah, I noticed that on the Instagram,
Yeah.
on Facebook.
Yeah,
Good
every
stuff.
third Saturday we have breakfast and barbels,
Mhm.
which is open house, and we have free breakfast for the members or whoever comes here.
Right.
So it's you know, we like to give back. You know?
Understood. I can see that. It's very clear.
And the more you give, the more you receive.
Amen to that.
Yeah,
True.
and that's what we're going for in all aspects of what we're doing, you know.
Right. Love it. So you're a busy guy. Again, thank you so much for making the short notice time for this today. I'm so grateful for this. With the amount that you put out there and the energy you expend and the way you travel, what's your simple way for making sure you keep your own fitness training going? Is it like, I'm going to get it done in the morning and then the rest of the day? Like,
yeah, I think I have a big, I'm sure you've seen the big sign in the gyms that says no excuses.
Sure.
Yeah. So that I can use that one every day, both for myself and also when I'm talking with other people, you know, and how we use the no excuses to take away some red tape that we put up around ourselves to protect ourselves from uncomfortable decisions or maybe do stuff that we dream about, but it holds us back because we're afraid of rejection or we're afraid of you know, failure or something like that. So no excuses is kind of like what helps me when I'm, you know, traveling and make everything a part of my life, you know.
So you deliberately make time to get your essential fitness training in, no matter where you are.
Yeah, exactly. And also that fitness is also like a broader aspect than just getting cardio in.
Right.
Like fitness is also to make sure that you balance work and play.
Yes.
So my biggest motto is to work hard and play hard.
Yes.
And I'm trying to make sure that people can't really tell when I'm doing what.
Right.
Because everything gives me energy. Like in this interview here, are we working or playing?
No, this is play.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is so enjoyable.
Exactly, and it gives energy to talk about business and exchange ideas and stuff like that, and it's so important for mental health.
Yes.
So for me, this is fitness, you know.
Same.
And then of course it's good. You know, fitness involves eating a little bit better than I did before, or you know, or getting your workout in, or you know, getting some cardio in. But also it's super important that your mind has fitness. You know.
Absolutely. The mind, the spirit, the soul. Is your wife into it as well? Does she train? Take care of herself?
Of course.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Helena.
Helena?
Helena. Yeah.
Helena, okay.
Yeah.
So for context, how big is the whole facility here?
It's 21,000 square feet.
21,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you're watching, you see MJ and I sitting here on the couch. This is the main back office, yeah?
Yeah, and we have bay doors here where, you know, so when we have bigger events, we pull up the doors.
Yeah.
We have one door to the office here that is facing the gym.
Right.
And when people come here, I ask them, do you see the gray door over there? And then they look at the door and they say, yeah, I see the door. And then I tell them it's an imaginary door. It's not really there for real. It's just to keep the sound out, so you know, so we can have these type of discussions.
Right.
But everybody's welcome in here. Everybody, like everything is one big.
I get that. Like totally got that already from the first time here yesterday.
Yeah.
Just observing. So as you're viewing on video, for context, there's literally the full gym is off to my right. Would you consider that your inventory area, your main inventory?
It's like kind of like the short weekly inventory.
Right.
And then we have a big warehouse, so we supply this one with.
Nearby?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have a warehouse in Europe also that, you know, supplies you know, Europe and the rest of the world.
Right.
So here we do fulfillments for the US market.
Right. Beautiful. Yeah. So literally off to the side of the gym is a short-term inventory area where there's, I can see you got the truck the truck bay
Yeah,
over there,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It just backs
Yeah.
right up. We got a lot of the team working just behind us in another big room. There's about, looks like 6, 7, 8 computer stations set up.
Yeah, we're around maybe 20 employees here, but then we have people in working remote and
Right.
in different positions. So we do e-commerce from here. We do logistics. We do finance.
Right.
And then we have we do our creative stuff here for products
Right.
and tech pack and dealing with factories and
Right.
stuff like that.
So e-commerce, I want to touch on that, but I got something I think I noticed is that it seems like you have some trainers training people, but
Yeah.
they're also involved with the apparel lines. Am I correct?
Yeah, like a little bit like I said before, I'm trying to not be so big on labels
Sure.
in life in general.
Right.
So I like to have a diverse diverse diet,
Yeah.
diverse focus. People can work with whatever they want to work with, and
Right.
that gives them energy.
Right. They have different skills, different specialties. They can do different things.
Yeah.
So why not turn them loose
Yeah.
on those things?
Yeah, so we're trying to have as much kind of like fish in the water instead of fish out of water.
Right.
And I think that was kind of like a big learning lesson when we were kind of like when we were growing so much that we thought we're gonna need to be more corporate or something like that.
Right.
When in reality it's much more fun for me at least, and those who are working around me. I think because we have a great group of people that
Right.
is a little bit like-minded on having a free mind.
Yeah, I sense that just by observing, seeing some of the photo shoots and the video shoots that were going on out there. And
Yeah, I don't like micromanagement.
Understood.
Yeah, but I also so it becomes a little bit like more like a family where it's there is a lot of freedom.
Right.
But also want to say that if you take a seat by the table, there comes also responsibility with that.
Right.
Like we need to help out. We need to take responsibility for a little bit of the bigger picture.
Yes.
And that's what I want. I don't want people to be kind of employed and just take responsibility for a small picture. And then after a while, it could be comfortable, but after a while, it doesn't lead to personal growth.
Right. True.
And it doesn't lead to expanding. It often lead to feeling like you're shoveling coal
Right.
back in the basement.
Right. Stagnant.
And you feel like this is not fun.
Right. True. So the e-commerce part, I'm assuming the e-commerce has grown because of the shift from 2017 to 20, where you went more direct, personal relationships, etc.
Yeah.
Is the e-commerce part a substantial part of the business now?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
both companies, GASP and Better
Yeah,
Bodies.
it's the majority of everything. So
Okay.
So let's say 75% today is e-commerce and
Right.
25% is business to business.
Beautiful. So the 75% e-commerce, when people place orders around the world, are you shipping directly out of this facility or the bigger facility?
Now we only ship US locally from here, and rest of the world outside US goes from our European warehouse.
Okay. So if somebody orders in Florida, New York, California, will those items go out
They
from
will go
here?
from here.
Right. Okay. So in front of all the boxes, which I know you can't see on video, they're stacked 3/4 to the ceiling, which is really high.
Yeah.
So there's a team processing orders over here. I didn't even see them.
Yeah, no, they're there, and they're working the butt off to keep the orders going. And
How many people large is that team?
Yeah, maybe 6.
Really?
Depending on season.
Sure.
And our needs. So
Wow.
it could be way more also if we have like certain peaks in the season.
Right. Are you using Shopify or custom sites?
We have another system that is from Europe.
Okay.
So that is because we do business in 110 countries.
Right.
So we need a system that is really good on currencies and
Right.
things like that.
Understood.
And Shopify would be really nice if we were not so exposed to other countries
Understood.
like we are, like in Europe.
Right.
Makes it a little bit more complex.
Okay. Understood.
It's a lot of different VATs and
right. All the
and,
tax configurations and
that you need to be compliant with.
Right.
When you have a certain size and selling to certain countries, you need to declare that
Right.
money in those countries.
right. Understood.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with that, with the programs I sell and the supplement sales.
Yeah.
Probably not as a large scale as you yet, but I know down the road we'll have to deal with that. But it's a good thing. This is part of the personal growth. How do we handle this new challenge?
I can say that if we grew up in Dallas-Fort Worth, our business would have gone much faster.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you grow up in Sweden, you think that even if I was trying to think big and in the next room before I was in the next room,
Mm-hmm.
It's still that you grew up and saying that, oh, we have a whole country to sell on, and it's like 10 million people. And that creates limitations.
Right.
Like if you grew up in Dallas-Fort Worth, you which is like 8.5 million people,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to say that, oh, I got whole Dallas-Fort Worth to sell on. You're going to say that the whole U.S.
Right. 300 million.
Yeah, and you say that quicker.
Right.
And it's the same thing as coming to knowledge about what should you do when you're 27.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 23
Mm-hmm.
instead of 27.
Right.
Or, better sooner than later.
Yes.
But those type of things,
Yeah. Agreed. So you recently had surgery on what part of your arm?
It was my shoulder.
Shoulder.
Yeah.
And what kind of surgery was that?
There was it's a repair of my rotator cuff. I did a tip over. I do motocross. That's
Okay.
my passion
Uh-huh.
for the last 10 years. And so I took a spill in a corner, and then I tore up my rotator cuff
Mhm.
and my labrum and my biceps tendon.
So was it a replacement or just a rebuild of everything?
Putting the supraspinatus tendon back in place,
Mhm.
putting the biceps tendon, relocating that one, and then repairing the labrum.
Right. I think I saw some physical therapy videos. You're
Yeah.
doing therapy now.
Yeah,
How do you handle that when you're on the road right now while you're recovering?
I make sure I got some tools
Okay.
with me and some.
And you follow through.
Yeah. No,
Right.
it's no big deal.
Yeah. Understood.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I like the process of it on anything. It's kind of like what I want to say a little bit about, the philosophy of being, preaching the no excuses and being that part
Right.
is that if you are good on preaching stuff every day, then when things get rough, you don't waver so easily
Right.
from what you have decided.
True.
So that's kind of like what I feel is important to remind myself by talking to you now and reminding myself about what's important,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes me stay on track even if if business is going really bad or something else in life is really going
Right.
come crashing down.
Understood. Agreed. Good stuff. So before we wrap up, do you have any future plans for growth? Any new ideas you're going to be implementing to push that part of the envelope?
I think it's like I think we have a really good message.
Mm-hmm.
And our mission is to make the world a better place through fitness. So when we kind of when we were reset in 2017 and trying to figure out who we are 2018 and 19, the mission, what is our mission, then what's our why?
Right.
And you have to spend some time on thinking really deep on what's your why really to do this.
Agreed.
And we discovered that our why was to make the world a better place through fitness.
Mm-hmm.
So that became like our mission statement, because we noticed during our 30 years of being in this industry and doing what we've been doing, we've been helping a lot of people to take the first step in something,
Right.
or empower themselves, or make them maybe eat a little bit better, or getting over certain hurdles, and uniting people.
Right.
And a big part of our charity is to start companies in the poorest parts of the world that are women owned. And so we use proceeds from our business to start women-led companies where we give, you can call them microloans,
Right.
so they can start the business that they are dreaming about. And the women are often more responsible than the men, and they can learn how to take care of the family,
Right.
and run a good business wherever they are. And that's what we are supporting.
Nice.
So everything from that to self-empowerment with our friends in the world.
Right. Wonderful. Love it. So just really growing more of what you've got going.
Yeah, just
and
because I think there's a lot of people
side of
that,
things as well.
people doesn't really know what we're doing, and we just want to bring more people
Have
on
new
board.
people discover you and change their lives.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And create more social belonging, and create more diverse but like-minded people who can connect.
Right.
So the whole reason why this is called Destination is because we want to create a destination for like-minded people, so they can connect wherever they are in the world. They can connect and create new friends.
Right. Right. It's part of how I ended up here. So, and that's why I do this podcast, is to put stories like this out there, because if it stays inside you, nobody hears it. And if nobody hears it, they can't be positively impacted and inspired. So do these, and we share them every way possible. Like I said, I told Dayton and Nick, I'm going to give you guys the video, and you guys can cut it up however you want and distribute it and share, and take whatever pieces have the most impact relative to what you guys are doing, and put it out there for your benefit and for the listeners and viewers' benefit, to get new people into this and show them that there's always time, there's always hope, there's always a first step you can take to get yourself better and healthier and stronger.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of excuses, especially as we get older. It's kind of like, I'm too old, or whatever excuse there is.
Hey, no, like I'll tell you right now, being here just this short time so far, and anybody listening, watching, this is a gym, all right? You've got some really high level people, competitors who train here, right? Is Sean Clarita still
he's around
training here? All right, so there are people in here ranging from, I'm going to estimate 15, 16, and I've seen people, they got to be in their 70s in here.
Yeah, of course.
Just in the 2 days I've been here. 80s.
Yeah.
And they're training. They're taking care of themselves. So there's no limits. There are no excuses. You don't have to be going after a stage title or a trophy to be looking to win in your own life. Right? And so all this stuff ties into that.
Yeah, so some people tell me, why don't you take down the threshold to destinations? It's like not so intimidating to go there. And I said, I don't want to do that. I want people to really think, and then come in. And usually, in all the cases, when they do step in, they get very excited about the environment, and they get surprised of how friendly it is, and they can't help themselves to get going.
Right.
And that's the feeling that I want to achieve. I want to achieve some. There is the price going in here a little bit that could be a little bit intimidating, but if you overcome your own excuse of that, then you have the next excuse. It's going to be a little bit easier. I really want to train because I see that person having could have more excuses than I have.
Right.
So where my excuse is not worth so much anymore, you know.
Right.
Like that person has, is making it happen. So why can't I?
Mm-hmm.
And there is a bunch of those here. So it's always find good inspiration and motivation.
Yeah, absolutely. I sense that too, just by observing. All right, so before we go into you asking me a question and then us sharing the social handles and the website or websites you want to share, is there anything else you want to add before we jump to that?
No, I think I gave you a little bit of a quick rundown of who I am and where I come from and what I believe in.
Yep, much appreciated too. All right, so do you have a good question for me?
Why is it called midlife muscle?
Good question. So there's a story behind it. I tell it on another episode. But the quick answer is I usually train at home. I have a setup that I designed and invented that allows me to train at home all in like one little space. It's mostly body weight, bands, and light weights. A friend of mine about 10 months ago asked me if I would help him just learn what to do once and for all to get in shape and stay in shape. And I said, all right, I'm going to have to come to the gym with you and we're going to train together at your gym so that when I'm done, you can keep training in your gym because it's your gym. You go there, you're familiar with everything. So I joined there, trained him for 2 months, big success. And by the time I was done training in that gym, I had already started making some friends, meeting some people, making connections. The vibe was very similar to this place.
Mm.
I didn't expect that. Mm. And very friendly, very inviting, very supportive. And there was all kinds of people there. It's where Dexter Jackson trains, 2008 Mr. Olympia. Right? He and I cross paths. We start talking between sets every couple of days because we're in there at the same time, mid-morning. And I'm like, Dexter, you should be doing a podcast. Like, you got everything you need and more. He's like, yeah, I know, but I'm so busy. And one day we're going back and forth, and I said, it's the MIDLIFE MUSCLE Podcast. We're the same age. He's 54. I said, that's the crowd right there. You got to show people and share the story of what you're still doing and why you're doing it now, right? He's like, I know, but I just don't know if I have the time. I said, all right, giving you the idea, the name, everything. If you don't do it in a few weeks, I got to do it.
Yeah.
So a few weeks went by. I said, all right, I'm doing it. So that's how it started, MIDLIFE Muscle. And for me, having been in this realm so long and coached and trained and worked with so many different people, I realized that midlife is really a sensitive time in life, especially for people who have never done this stuff like you and I, right? It's like, can I even take the first step, right? And so what I'm trying to do with this is let people know in midlife when the majority of the population out there, they need to start taking care of themselves, right? It gets that much more important. So it's to share these stories and the things that come out in these stories and interviews to inspire, especially either the newcomer who's never done anything and they're going to start when they're 48, 39, 52, 61, that you can do it. There are safe ways to go about it, and it's worth it. And you're gonna change your whole life by doing this. So I wanted the name to immediately signal to that person, oh, MIDLIFE Muscle. That sounds like something I'm interested in, right? And it's multifaceted. It's not just literally about the muscle. It's about muscle of your mind, muscle of your heart, your spirit, your soul, muscle of how you are living your life and the energy and vigor you're putting into all the things that are important to your life, right? So that's how it came about. Here we are.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good name, and I think it's like a good mission also. Usually the midlife people is telling the kids how to do their thing, and they are doing none of it,
Right.
So I think like they would be more efficient for the kids if midlife people were actually doing it and leading the way,
True.
So being a leader for yourself, being a leader for others, being a leader for your loved ones, is kind of like super important.
Exactly. Yes.
And I think we need more of that leadership,
Exactly.
and that's why I feel like you're doing a great job bringing up the midlife muscle.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So great question, by the way. Thank you. All right. So let's go through the social handles and the websites you would like to share one by one. What's the first handle you would like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so keen on the selling of everything, but I think like
people are going to want to know where can we go find all this stuff.
Yeah, I think a good way to get a little bit introduced to GASP is to go to GASP official
on Instagram,
on Facebook. Yeah.
All right, GASP official, GASP official on Facebook. There's also an Instagram page, I believe. Correct?
Yeah. Okay. And then. Better Bodies Official on Facebook.
Okay, Better Bodies Official, just like it sounds, also on Facebook, but there's also an Instagram.
So the reason why I bring these two up is because there you're going to find 20,000 ambassadors that and friends and ambassadors of GASP and Better Bodies.
Right.
And you will also meet myself and many people in and around myself. So it's a great way to get to know who we are and what we're doing.
Right.
And through that, it's easy to take the next step and become an ambassador or because a lot of my preaching, a lot of my the things we're doing is kind of like I'm funneling out in those groups,
Right.
So they are closed groups, but you just need to knock on the door and you will be let in.
Right. Beautiful. So the Facebooks, those are two communities. I think I only joined the Better Bodies community. So there's a GASP official community.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's roughly the same, but sometimes could be unique stuff for Better Bodies and unique for GASP.
Right.
But it's a good way to get to meet people all around the world,
Right.
So
beautiful.
Yeah.
I could see that already in the Better Bodies group.
Yeah.
So how about yourself? Do you have a personal social handle there where I know I've been following one, but I want to make sure it's okay to share.
Yeah, no, it's okay to follow me too. I got an open profile. It's Michael.Johansson. .98.
Okay, that's Instagram.
That's the Instagram.
Michael.Johansson.98. That's on Instagram. I'm actually going to share all these links in the show notes, and these links will go out in an email newsletter as well. So all my people who know how I publish, what I publish, all these links will come to you.
Yeah.
Is there an e-commerce store website you'd want to share while we're at it?
No, not really.
Okay.
I think if you're interested,
they'll find them.
I want people to join for the right reason. I want people to feel like we're not here to sell products.
No, you want the philosophy to resonate with them, and then everything else takes care of itself.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah. So if we have the same, if we gravitate to the same, a little bit the same mindset and philosophy, then and we are diverse, that's perfect. But being diverse and having a little bit of a like-minded mindset, and then usually GASP and Better Bodies becomes a way to signal that we have something in common.
Right.
And that's how people join.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
MJ, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
This has been better than I thought it would be, and again, on such short notice, I can't tell you how grateful I am for you to take the time out of your busy day, your travel schedule, and sit down and allow us to do this.
Yeah, my philosophy is to always say yes and always be available, and
thank you.
At the same time as I take care of myself.
Appreciate it. Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. So that's it for this episode. Please, as you watch it, listen to it. If you're watching it, there's going to be the comment section open. Please share the love. Let us know what you enjoyed about this. Say hello to Michael. Check for the links below to connect with him, the team, GASP Official, Better Bodies. And we look forward to hearing from you. And as always, peace and much love to you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks again.
Thank you.